Good day, fellow adventurers. I definitely have the sexiest bunch of subscribers on the internet. You all look splendid. Can't tell you how happy I am to have you back. Come in. I've got a nice Barco lounger set up for each one of you. Or we could just pile onto the couch. Welcome to Dresden's Tale, episode 64. This is season 3, volume 3, chapter 60 in our bedazzling tale. This is high military fantasy, the kind that needs heroes. Ours is Dresden Fane. He's a dwarf. He's a warlock. He's the kind of guy you only want to be around when there's trouble. He's a warrior of the Stone Clan, trying hard to follow in the footstep of others, but always leading the way. I'm Lewis Nichols, king of the nerds, oozing with a creative goo from every pore. Sorry, I need to have that looked at. Etc., and so forth. Who am I? I'm the guy who wrote this crazy thing. A project spanning 2 decades and a whole cartload of Word documents. Thanks to YouTube, I now have a reasonable way to pass it on to you. When considering my warm-up for today's episode, it struck me there are certain limits to grinding my own way. You see, I'm telling the story of a guy whose adventuring life might be measured in centuries. I could do that in a series of tight scripts covering the major adventures here and there. But his off time is just as important as the big plot points. And if you think about it, life doesn't really roll on in convenient plot points. Even the exciting times aren't easily smushed into a clean plot. Now maybe you'll say, that's the job of an author. I say, my job is to tell the story floating around in my head. It's neither clean nor pretty. Now, no more philosophy. If you've been with me for a while, you've heard it all before anyway. Next time, I promise we'll talk about something interesting, like the giant toads of Jasco. A few weeks have passed, and Dresden is back in the fight. Here on Vool, it's Jute's 7th day, 2052 years after the fall.
Tribulations 72. The land at Ocean's End will host the Iterian Mound, if the Chosen sail, with victory at their back.
Come around right, Ralph shouted. Dresden took a tentative step, worried the werebear they dropped had some fight left in him. The hairy beastman convulsed, skin bubbling. Seconds later, it was nothing but a human corpse, a fist-sized purple bruise where the dwarf's hammer struck, his guts peeking out from a red slash across the abdomen. They'd argue later about who actually had the killing blow. Dresden turned. Jostling into Kira, they stumbled. "Watch out, honey." She bumped him back playfully. The minotaur they now surrounded was beaten, but would not surrender. Dresden didn't blame him. Better did I, all at once. He hammered at the warrior's knee, but it was a gruesome blow from Liz that finished him. Her bishop's blade chopped through his padded armor just above the bicep. That arm fell to the ground, and the blade kept going. Liz twisted, spinning the grip over her head and drawing the blade back. It tore through ribs and into his chest cavity. "You gonna eat that?" Ralph asked Liz as she plucked the exposed heart from the Minotaur's ravaged carcass. "I've heard of other warriors doing it, but no. Do you want it?" "That's disgusting." Donald turned away. Ralph laughed. "Rah! I should do it just to watch the dear boy puke." "Nah, bad luck. It's not personal enough. Let's go home." Weeks passed since Carside Trajan, giving them all time to carve out a very comfortable niche in Opal. By virtue of longevity, Lenny's whole fighting wing took over a row of new homes. Dresden and Kira occupied a dark basement with most of his friends 2 levels above. Back home, they settled into their sanctuary. "Are you still worried about what the old man said?" He looked up. She was beautiful in the darkness. Warm and feminine, but tough. Leith had been the same way, just moister. With time passing, he could think about her more objectively, but it was still hard to imagine his life wouldn't be better with her in it. Yet he would have probably never met Kira. He certainly wouldn't be sleeping with her. It was easier to worry about the few things that he could control. I was thinking about becoming a warden. You'd be a good one, but can you? For a while it would be weird, I think. I wouldn't be very good at anything, but just getting started in a lot of different things. If I gave up on more Ziblich training, eventually I'd be a warden who just happened to be able to pocket space, too. She wedged herself in next to him in a seat made for one. Luckily, the one the maker had in mind was bigger than a dwarf. My mentor always said you can learn a lot of different things and not know much about any of them. Yeah, that's true, and it's a better tribulation than most of the ones I've heard, Dresden answered glumly, but Kira shrieked a laugh and kissed him. When she settled, he led with a grunt. You think I should just accept that I'm a transport guy? She shrugged. I think whatever you decide, you'll be good at it. You plan on training if we ever make it to Brave Rock? Depends upon what we find there. Master Danok wants me to specialize in furniture making, but I think that might be for later. Okay, but what about the old man? You have to decide on a weapon style. Dresden shrugged, aware that every time one of them shifted, they got a little bit more entwined. Yeah, no matter what I think about being a warden, I can't imagine not being up front in a formation. I don't know what I'm doing. Shield and something. Boring, she made fun of him, but followed it up with a deep kiss. Hey, it's dark down here. Hang on. It was Ralph's voice coming from up the stairs. Go away, they both yelled, and then the light came. Damn it, Ralph. Hello, what are you guys doing down there in your cave? Grace was right behind him in his lantern. Nothing now, Kira groaned, straightening her top. Dresden had to push her up to get clear. I don't know how you can stand it down here. There's cobwebs. Ooh, and spiders. Ralph plugged a small arachnid from the web and ate it. You don't even have any furniture. We have a chair, the dwarf grunted. Dresden is going to make some, Kira told them. No time for that now. The pterodon picked at the sticky web in his beak. Lenny called it. Mission's over. Dresden sat up and rubbed his chin. Yeah. Apparently, those losers we took out this morning checked out. They're the ones that were raiding the wagon trains. There's no Icterians left between here and the coast. Lenny's deploying to some seaside town to interdict skiff raids. Flat out told Cormac he didn't need us. I guess he couldn't find you. Why would he find me? Because it's your squad. Dresden didn't argue. Well, I guess we're going to Brave Rock. That was the plan, wasn't it? What is today? If we hurry, we might get there by Abergrayon's Day. Liz thought you'd say that. She's already packing, Grace told them. Come on, Kira. The boys need to talk. There was supposed to be a discussion. That's what Dresden planned for. Instead, it just slipped out of his mouth. It had only been a suggestion, not an order, but that's how they took it. He just ordered them all off to Brave Rock. It was so bad, they'd already anticipated his choice. Dresden! What, Ralph? You weren't listening at all, were you? Grace and I aren't going. Why are you laughing? Never mind. What do you mean you're not going? I mean we're not going. My status with the clan... He trailed off. I just think it's better if I stay away from clan centers for a while. Grace is ready to go home, and she's invited me. We'll probably get married or something. Dresden was quiet for a minute. I hate losing an important part of the team, he finally said. Ralph choked. I caused more trouble than I solved. I meant Grace. You grump? No, you didn't. You were our best spotter and a good sub-commander. Death from above. Flapping his own wings for effect, he ended up with both palms out. Well, I guess that goes without saying. To you, to Cormac, I was never really sure, but every squad needs a guy like me. I'll be hard to replace. That's for sure. They talked while Dresden grabbed what little he'd take. There was some silver left, and a few strips of copper, just as spendable. A gold chain went around his neck, and an opal ring for his finger. He kept them around for value, but Kira liked it when he wore them. Dresden left behind an assortment of weapons he'd picked up in recent fighting, and his stone-cutting gear. If he never quarried again, he'd be just fine. It was important for a warrior to travel light. They left with no fanfare. A few goodbyes to remaining friends and acquaintances were enough. Scant hours after Dresden's decision, their two-wagon caravan was leaving Opal behind. Kira, Liz, Donald, Cormac, and a handful of other minor warriors whose motivations were their own affair. Dresden didn't look back. Instead, pulling the fabric sunblock down from the lip of his hat, he took out a letter to finish. Piran of the Martyrs, House of Nide, Shield Maiden of Biona, dearest cousin. In our time of struggle, I do not know how long it will take this letter to find you. I pray it finds you well. I yearn for news of the birth of your child and your return to the fields of battle. Perhaps there is some letter making its way to me at this very moment. I have chosen my warrior's path, dear cousin. The hammer, under force of electrical axiom, will be my future. They have pressed for my choice of weapons, and I have supplied them with an answer. It is but a fleet step in my education, and my way is unclear, but revelations will come. I know it. I doubt word of my deeds have reached your ears, but in the smallest circles I believe I have been noticed. The months mean nothing here. No change in the season occurs for this land. The days of Rudy feel a year past. Yet we are where we are supposed to be. Memories of past battles, epic that they were, fade in anticipation of what's to come. The heretics do not understand the value of our cycle. Avast, there is hope for me. I've been promised training in Brave Rock, and may be set for winter's call. An Inquisition priestess who might have affections for a friend has been helpful to my case and sent letters to secure valuable training in the Skaldglyph, along with further study in the base theory of Ziblich. I may yet be a successful warlock after all is said and done. I have seen the glorious and the terrifying in my time here. Great dragons clashing at the Battle of Karsai Trajan. So many times I've been to the edge of death's pit. I've grown numb to it. I am a dead shadow of a soul, fighting in the glaring spectacle of greatness. I was there when Stonehand subdued the dragon. I was there when Maxine led our host to victory. My role was not to sweep fodder, but I was there. Yea, that battle was not the end of wonder. I was fortunate enough to be in the right spot and witnessed a powerful sight just 2 days past. No less than 18 hippogriffs from the Church of Omadun in formation between 3 fire wyverns, ridden by men wielding long spears. All accompanying them was a host of zombie birds, and though it was unseen to me, someone said that a host of more than a dozen air elementals followed behind. In less than 2 hours, they covered 60 miles to assault an Itarian position that thought itself safe. Surrounded by such fantastic things, I scantly dare speak of myself. Even as I write these words, and might I tell you, next to the one who inspires them, as we depart from Opal, bound finally for Brave Rock's call for aid. What I mean to say is, I have fallen again in the grip of the hapless, a pit we can never avoid. The warrior Kira Histani, well, there is too much to say about her, but she has given me a hope I do not believe I felt before. The hope of the dead rising to a new life could be no less of a shock than to my beleaguered soul. I find the road and my supply of ink coming to an end, so I will leave you with that hope, and with my affection. Dresden, House of Nanok, Stone Clan. Oh, isn't that sweet? Guess what, folks? We're halfway there. That means 12 action-packed episodes slated to be shot on location, right there in the sunny old Brave Rock. Well, except for the ones that aren't, but don't worry about it. It's all under control. I'm going to miss Ralph. I even wish we'd have gotten to know Grace a little better. Please join me in wishing them both the best. Will we see them again? It's hard to say. What I can say is, and there are spoilers ahead, I have it on good authority, we're going to have some returning characters coming up in the very next episode. Place your bets in the comments. Alright folks, here's your refresher in YouTube etiquette. Right now, this is an evening and a weekend job. I work 40 hours a week to pay the bills, so the least you can do is leave a like. It matters, it helps. Not only do I appreciate it, if you got this far, you obviously appreciate my content. So leaving that like, leaving a comment, what that does is opens up these videos to so many more people to see. Talk to me. We can have a conversation in those comments. We can catch up. We can get to know each other. And if you haven't subscribed already, do it. Do it now. Now, that's enough begging. Do all that stuff. Do all the things I just mentioned. And whether you do or don't or did or didn't, I am super glad that you guys all stopped in today. And see you next time. Cheers.